You better get home before it gets too dark, joked Jamal. Wouldn't want to catch a ride with the train, man. Man, shut up, responded Jose, roughly tossing the basketball at Jamal's chest. The two boys had spent most of their Sunday shooting hoops near Jamal's place. Several hours had passed since the sun had crept behind the towering project building. Streetlights flickered on and off as flies hovered close like tiny planets orbiting a star. The boys walked down the empty South Bronx streets to the nearest subway station, Jose stopping here and there to stare at the small weeds that would poke out of the cracked concrete sidewalks. He'd always found it interesting that no matter how thick the pavement, nature still found a way to grow. He liked the weeds. Alright, man. See you tomorrow. Bring your game with you so I can bust that ass at school, Jamal said, grinning. Tato. But don't be crying when you lose, Jose threw back. After the routine handshake, Jose walked down the subway steps, grateful that his friend had escorted him to the station. He always put on a brave face in front of Jamal, but the truth was that being out at night made him nervous. He'd had too many bad experiences and too many bruises. There was also the train man. All the kids from the area knew the story. A while ago, some homeless guy, fed up with the constant nightly harassment, took it upon himself to retaliate. On one particular night, while sleeping on his usual bench, a group of kids around Jose's age entered the station and began messing with him. They took his shopping cart and pushed it around the train platform, scattering the man's belongings all over the floor. Furious and fed up, the homeless man pulled out a brick he had hidden behind the bench and chucked it at one of the boys. That turned out to be a bad move. Pissed off, the boys jumped him, kicking him in the head and tearing off his clothes. The man tried to run away, but in the chaos, he fell onto the tracks. The boys bounced, leaving him down there until, unfortunately, a train came and took him. A few weeks after that, strange things started to happen. The boys that had attacked the homeless man began disappearing one by one. According to some people, the disappearances always happened at a subway station. To this day, a lot of kids refuse to take the train by themselves due to the fear that the spirit of the man still travels from station to station looking for people to snatch up and carry off into hell. Jose didn't buy it. Well, not completely. Only some parts. Enough to get his heart racing a little whenever he took the train at night. Jose leaned against a pillar on the deserted platform, annoyed by the not-so-subtle stench of old piss that tended to take over these kind of areas. Moments like these made him wish his mom wouldn't be so stingy and just buy him a phone. He was positive that he was the only kid in his class without one. Sick of the smell, he marched along the edge of the platform, trying to find somewhere he could breathe comfortably, his footsteps echoing throughout the expansive tunnel. He found a hard bench to sit on. Across from him, on the other platform, was an old man in a dusty jean jacket. He was staring at Jose with a strange intensity. Jose locked eyes with him, and their gazes lingered until the roar of a train exploded into the station. The lengthy vehicle pulled up between the two of them. Through a small window, he could see the old man board the train. To his surprise, the man's eyes were still fixed on him, still glaring, even as the train pulled off from the station and drifted into the dark. For a while, everything was still, only the tapping of Jose's sneakers against concrete filling the quiet. Then, as though from out of nowhere, a jumble of voices tumbled down the steps close by. He turned his attention towards the commotion and saw a group of guys coming down. There were 5 of them, all about his age. They also looked like they were up to no good. He played it cool, keeping his head down and avoiding eye contact. The party approached the bench, joking amongst themselves and stopping here and there to throw mock punches at one another. They stopped when they noticed him. They stood near the bench, snickering between glances. Jose recognized the signs. He'd seen this too many times. As subtly as a mouse, he leaned forward slightly, planting his feet firmly on the ground. One of the boys stepped up and Jose bolted. As he ran, he looked back and saw the entire group chasing him. He ran down the platform, praying to God he didn't trip or slip. He could hear the guys shouting names at him, demanding that he stop running and threatening him with an even worse beating if he didn't comply. He was almost out of ground. Ahead was a dead end, his dead end. An idea occurred to him then. It was crazy, but he knew it was the only option. He made a hard turn and, without hesitation, leaped onto the subway tracks. Upon landing, his left foot caught on one of the metal beams, twisting his ankle and causing him to fall. He looked up from the floor of the tracks, expecting to see the group looming over him laughing, but saw no one. In fact, he couldn't even hear them. The station was once again dead silent. Waves of pain swelled and rose from his ankle, slamming against the receptors of his brain as he struggled to get back on his feet. He groaned, not so much because of the injury, but more so because he knew his mother was going to get on his case about it. Otra vez peleando y buscando problema, she'll shout. No, Mom, I never go picking fights or starting trouble with anybody. People come and find me. Managing to stand, Jose peeked over the edge of the platform and didn't see a single sign of the boys. That filled him with an odd discomfort. He was about to pull himself up when a loud thud sounded to the left of him. He turned and saw an old man lying on the tracks groaning. It looked like he was really hurt. Without thinking, Jose moved to help, wincing after every step. Upon approaching, a foul scent smacked Jose right in the face, stopping him mid-step. Whiffs of sour beer, coalescing with a brown stench, created a noxious barrier between him and the man. He felt his stomach turn. Ugh, why me? Stiffly, he approached the injured man, fighting his gag reflex with all of his might. The unfortunate guy was not fully aware of his surroundings, belting out sporadic nonsensical remarks. Due to his injured ankle, Jose struggled to lift him. As he wrapped the man's arm over his shoulders, Jose felt the ground begin to shake. The color drained from his face. Down the tracks, rushing into the station, were two angry yellow eyes. Jose screamed as he dragged the man towards the platform edge. He squatted and wrapped both arms around his waist, eyes glued to the fast approaching train. Using all of the strength he could summon, he lifted, veins filling with concrete, muscles ripping and burning. His entire world became the echoing cry of the train's horn. Please, 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 he pleaded with Jamal, with God, with his mother. His shoulders relaxed as the man finally rolled up and over the platform to safety. Wasting no time, James jumped and clawed the concrete floor. He tried to lift himself, but his arms were so tired. He pulled and pulled, but he was stuck, his body dangling between tracks and platform. The world trembled. He turned his head. The lights were two great stars, supernovas. He cried for his mother as they engulfed him, reducing everything to white. Jose jumped up from the bench, gasping for air. His clothes were drenched in sweat. He looked around him. The stairs where the group of boys had come from were to his left. A woman with her young daughter stood next to them, staring at him in confusion. "You okay, young man?" asked a concerned stranger sitting next to him. Panting, James responded, "Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure." The stranger stood and gently placed his hand on James's shoulder. "Well, you seem okay to me now. Look, the train's coming. You'll be home soon." He was right. James boarded the train, watching the doors close behind him, unsure of what had happened. The only thing he knew for certain was that he missed his mother and that he was glad to be heading home.